Hi everyone, welcome to Wednesdays with English with a Twist, otherwise known as EWAT. This is Shanti Kumaraswamy Street calling from London. I'm sorry I'm a bit late. I just got a message actually on Skype saying can't see the live session going on. So very sorry about that. I hope you can see me and that this is streaming through okay. I have a feeling maybe it's not. No, it is good. I can see two people slowly. It's going to build, hopefully good. Hi everyone. Hey Dan, you've joined. I know it's super early for you because today you are in California, so it's about 7 o'clock in the morning, so it's 3 o'clock here in the UK, British summertime. So yeah, so super early, huh? Good morning, California, and welcome to this new day, the 3rd of May for you. We're, as I say, 3 o'clock. It's almost tea time actually here in London, although I've just had a late lunch. What about you guys? Let me know where you're from. You know, you always do this beginning of the, the meet and greet, how everyone is doing, and that sort of thing. So tell me where you are, where you're from, what time it is at yours, and yeah, here we are. So 3rd of May, how was your May bank holiday? Did you have a 1st of May celebration? We had a long weekend here in the UK, and so that was very nice. I went to a wedding. Our neighbor's daughter was getting married. I know I'm now at that age, that generation where I start going to friends' children's wedding. God, it seemed only like yesterday when I was going to my friends' weddings and their children's christenings and yeah. Anyway, let's not discuss that, shall we? It's just saying that we're moving on. Saeed, hi from Paris. Gabriela, hi from Argentina. So lovely to see you. Please, if you're my regulars to Wednesdays with EWAT, drop me a line, tell me where you're from, and thank you so much for joining in. Yeah, Des just said that we pretend that May Day doesn't exist in the US. Yeah, it doesn't happen. Yeah, I know it's a bit too workers, aren't we? Sorry if I'm looking a bit shiny. I do apologize. I can just see myself on the. Now I went for a run and then I had a shower, but I'm still obviously very warm. My body is still overheating, so I do apologize for that. I'd like to think that as a woman I glow as opposed to become very hot, but maybe that's not. Anyway, we're not going to discuss that. Okay people, we are here, English with a Twist. If you don't know who I am, and this is the first time here visiting Wednesdays with EWAT, then English with a Twist is the place to be if you are someone who needs to succeed in business with English. So you're someone who's working and you need to know you have good English to communicate well and effectively in your job. If you want to get promoted, or you want to develop your career, you want to move along, maybe you work for a multinational company, and so consequently English is the main language of communication. In that case, you need to become more confident and more effective as a communicator in English with many colleagues, many customers who are going to use English as the main language. If that's the case, then you want to be with English with a Twist, where I focus on getting you confident and communicating well and effectively in whatever area you find yourself in business. So that's where we are. Now, to follow my lessons, whether it's here on English Wednesdays with EWAT or on my website englishwithatwist.com, you need to have at least a minimum standard of intermediate level. Okay, so if you're thinking about the council or Facebook, then you need to see the have about a B1 level of English. Okay, so in order to follow my lessons. So there you go. For those of you who haven't signed up to my blog and my weekly lessons, which are delivered to all my readers every Friday, then have a look at the top. If you're staring at your Facebook page, then the top right hand corner to sign up. Not only will you get my weekly lessons, you will also get a copy of my free e-guide that shares with you the 10 ways you can communicate more effectively and confidently in English for business. So if you've not done so, go ahead and do that. Maybe if you're watching me on this lesson, then go click, check it out, or straight after this lesson. Pablo, hi from Argentina. Lovely to see you. I see that also Girija has joined from Malaysia. So wonderful to see you. And I also see Roberto has joined from Malaysia. So lovely to see some regulars. Pablo, are you new to Wednesdays with EWAT? If you are, welcome. And, let me know, perhaps dropping me a line on englishwithatwist.com, what you do, where you're from, what are your challenges in English. So that's what we're all about. So those are my quick announcements right at the beginning of this lesson. Every time I tell you who we are, what we do, what I'm here to do, how I can help you. And so we look at a lot of key skills in business and business English. So today's lesson, which is lesson 24 of Wednesdays with EWAT, is all about how to unscramble those confusing words you might find yourself. When you're writing, you have to write an email, maybe you're putting together a report, and you're not too sure about how to use certain words. Often you can get a bit confused with those. Now, I have to say here, this is not just confusing to people for whom English is a second language. This is often also confusing to a lot of native speakers, proficient users of English. Yeah, so please don't think this is only about learners. Often I see people using the wrong words, and the more you progress, the better you become in English. You will see that there are a lot of subtle differences, clever differences that make it more complex. So don't feel that, oh gosh, as I'm getting better, it seems to be getting worse. No, as the language progresses, you'll find that there are certain differences. Danilo, hi to you. Hope you're well. And so I want you to sort of just bear in mind that with business writing, when we talk about how how you want to promote yourself and how you want to look when you're writing, is one of the things is in my previous lessons I've written about business writing, and also in my latest ebook, Business English Secrets, I often say that the biggest thing that you have to think about, the most important part in writing, is your structure. It's your message. Then the actual words and spelling come towards the end. So they're not as important. Having said that, you need to also make sure that you are correct. So spelling is important. So when we build our writing, we want to then make sure that we've got the words correctly spelled, but also the right word you're using for the context in which you're using it. So I hope you can follow me with this. Julia, hi, thank you so much. Hi, lovely to see you here. So let's look at this. So today in this lesson, I want to share with you 10 of these often confusing pairs of words. And it happens often, not, as I say, not just for learners of English, but also for proficient users of English. Often I've had that situation where I'm just a bit confused as to which word I need to use in what context. Now, this is going to be the first, and I'm thinking also of putting together next week's lesson, we're going to look at also spelling the right words, but I will also then put this into the weekly lesson in the blog. So this lesson today will be covered. I will prepare a worksheet and we'll look at it. So let's look at 10 pairs of words that are often misspelt and also confused in writing. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at, the first pair we're going to look at is a lot and a lot. So a lot, spelled A, then the next word is L-O-T, versus against a lot, A-L-O-T. I'm just stopping here. Aditi, Sok, Eshbet, hi. Hello, everyone. Lovely to see you. Welcome to the lesson. So as I say, first pair, a lot, one word. So, confusing? Actually, the first one, a lot, is a correct word. We use that. You know, I like to read a lot. Yeah, so example, I like to read a lot. So we'd write it down. But then I've seen a lot of people write a lot all in one word. Now, is that correct? My answer to you is no, it isn't. Now, and why I'm saying this is because often you will see, and I've seen this with plenty of my clients time and time again in my online coaching programs and here in my full immersion courses, you know, they get emails from people and also from native speakers, and they will write a lot in one word and they think that's correct. And I have to say, no, it isn't. So often you really don't know whether it's correct. So first word, a lot. If it's all put together in one word, it does not exist. It's not a word in English. Okay, so you can strike that off. Don't worry if you're a bit confused, you don't quite know, because in the show notes I will have all of this out for you, and I will be also uploading this video to YouTube. So if you're also on YouTube, you can have a look at that. So don't you worry about if you don't catch all the words. So that's our first pair of words. Now the second pair of words, and please forgive me if I'm just going to have a look here, and also what I'm going to be doing, sorry, I meant to tell you, was I'm also going to be having a look, so do drop me your lines if there are also confusing words that you sometimes find. Vaughn, this time you got here in time. Wonderful, great to have you here. Yes, because last week you missed it, didn't you, unfortunately? Right, okay, so let's see. The second pair of words are adverse and averse. Note the pronunciation here. Adverse, so we are spelling this as, if you have a pen and paper, write it down, A-D-V-E-R-S-E. Adverse. So sorry, adverse. Adverse. The other word is spelt, okay, so pen and paper, A-V-E-R-S-E. So notice the difference. There's just one letter missing in the second word, which is the D. So one is adverse, the other one is averse. Now that's, you could easily make a mistake with that. Absolutely, Danilo. Yes, so that's adverse. So note the pronunciation, note how I'm pronouncing it. Adverse. The other word is A-V-E-R-S-E. And it's pronounced averse. So using the schwa sound. Exactly, Danilo. Brilliant. The schwa, averse. Now, you've got this one tiny letter D, and if you miss it out, they have totally two different meanings. So anyone can guess what the meanings are if you had adverse. So let's take an example. We can have an adverse reaction to a tablet. Maybe you've taken a tablet and there's an adverse reaction to something. So what does that mean? It means it is something that does, it causes a problem for you. It's detrimental. It creates, you know, if you have an adverse reaction to a tablet, means you have a negative reaction. So we could have an example of interest rates. The rise in interest rates will have an adverse effect on the retail market, because the rise in interest rates means that borrowing goes up and people start having to pay more for their loans and their mortgages, so money becomes more difficult, you know, becomes tight, and so then it has an adverse reaction to the retail market. So it is a negative reaction. Now, by contrast, averse without the D, what does that mean? So when you use averse, it means that you're against something. So I'm averse to making too many changes to the strategy. So I'm against, so I'm averse to doing that. Yeah, so adverse, yeah, yes, it is harmful, detrimental. So note that adverse is always used with a noun, so it's an adjective. It has an adverse reaction, so it's a negative reaction, harmful reaction. Yeah, so detrimental. But I am averse to something is I am against something, so it becomes an adverb. Yeah, it's also, I'm averse is I'm also an adjective, but you're using it to describe something, what you are feeling. So averse means to be against. I'm averse to that. I'm averse to loud music. I'm against loud music. Not so much dislike, against, Eliza. Yeah? So that's the difference. With averse is you're against something. It's not that you don't like it, because it's not a verb. You're against. I'm averse to people making too many comments. I'm averse to politicians who speak a lot. They make a lot of promises and then so you don't. So that's very important, because these two words, just because you've got that D, if you drop the D, the meaning completely changes, and it can be very confusing. So adverse, averse. Okay. All right, everybody, thumbs up. Okay with that? Good. Don't worry, there'll be plenty. I will be giving examples. I'm going to be putting this into a blog post, and I will then share this on the show notes. The blog post will be coming out on Friday, but I will then add the link to the show notes here, so don't you worry about that. Okay, so the third pair of words, let's see. Now, very common, because I get a lot of clients asking me this, because they get it, you know, they get very confused with this, which is the difference between and among. Yeah, because they'll tell me sort of, yes, Danilo, sorry, I'm just stopping and looking at notes here. Yes, Danilo, adverse is negative, averse is against. Very good, excellent. So good job, guys. Okay, so let's go for between versus among. Anyone can guess the difference, how we would use between and among in a sentence? Great, so Deepa, perfect. So between are between two things or two people. So the difference between writing for a newspaper and writing a book is exactly, and among is when you are among a number of people, a group of people. Yeah, you can choose among a number of things and you're still not going to get it right. Exactly. But it's funny how some people get very confused with that, and so they use it incorrectly in a sentence. So as long as you know, between is normally between two things and two people, or among is you are with a number of people, a group of people, or among the choices I have, I chose this. Yeah, so that's it. So I think that third pair of confusing words was rather easy. Lovely, I love that, Dan. Thank you so much. So Dan is saying, maybe a good tip actually for everyone, is between divides us and among includes us. So people among us and between is looking at a difference. But there's also another thing where people talk about. So often you will say, you know, maybe we're talking about location. What about when we're trying to describe a location? So say, for example, you're telling someone where something is. So you want to say, well, it's actually between these two towns or two buildings. So it's in the middle. But if it's among, then, you know, if you go and find that bench, that's among the the cluster of benches. Yeah, but if you're looking in between, so then you're looking at two things and doing it. But yes, I like that. And Sumesh, yes, you're right, among, within. Good, you all seem to be fine with that. So it's interesting, but and yet it still confuses. I notice when I see some of my clients using it. But good job, guys. Okay, we're down now to the fourth pair of confusing words. Now let me look at my notes. Now, this one does confuse a number of native speakers. And even when I was growing up, I was often not too sure about how to use this. And these are these two words, which is continual, so, and continuous. So the difference between continual and continuous. Right, continual, let's spell that. C-O-N-T-I-N-U-A-L. Just writing down what Pranjal has just given me. Accomplice versus accomplish. Oh, okay, those are two completely different words. But I will answer that towards the end of the class, if I may. Great, excellent, wonderful. Okay, so continual, C-O-N-T-I-N-U-A-L versus continuous. So again, that is tricky spelling. C-O-N, you got your pen and paper, C-O-N-T-I-N-U-O-U-S. I know most of you are going, oh gosh, why can't English be easier? Yes, exactly. Hi, Pablo. Yes. You came back okay from your Argentina, Buenos Aires, lovely. Continual and continuous. Okay, so let's see, what's the difference? So imagine you're in a meeting and then you've got this long meeting and you had continual interruptions during this meeting. So the meeting went on for longer than was expected. Why? Because you had continual interruptions. So what does that mean? So you have many interruptions repeating itself. Yes, so one interruption, then another interruption. So it was just having this continual. By contrast, continuous is something that happens and continues without interruption. So there are no interruptions. So it has been raining continuously all day. So no interruption. It has just been raining all day, non-stop. So continuous is non-stop, without interruption. But continual is, it's something that happens but with interruptions. So we have this continual action, but you know it keeps repeating but not without interruption. So if we had continual interruptions, maybe you had to start at the meeting, then you'd stop, and then there'd be another interruption, then you'd stop, and then so if we look at an example that you can say the meeting ran continuously for 8 hours, that would be a nightmare, because you just imagine there was absolutely no break. This just carried on. Or maybe the marathon, I ran my marathon and I ran continuously. I didn't stop, I didn't do it for 4 hours or whatever. That's the difference. So continual and continuous. And we use it also in the adverb form, continually, continuously. Yeah, so, but this is often can cause confusion even to native speakers, because as you're writing, you're thinking, now what do I want to describe? Something that had interruptions but kept repeating, or something that where there was no interruption? So it's important to non-stop, yes, continual, many. Danilo, you've got that spot on, yes. But it often causes confusion, and it's important because if someone could misunderstand you if you don't use the right word. Okay, so good to go, everyone. Thumbs up, please, for me. Great. Nice. Good. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Okay. Number 5, the 5th pair of words is, and this is interesting, it's the difference between convince and to persuade. Rosa, you're saying my students often do continual interruptions. Okay, they continually interrupt the class. Yeah, I get that. I can just imagine. Yeah, they continually interrupt. Yeah, we don't, in collocation terms, we don't do interruptions. We use it as a verb. We interrupt. But yeah, I can just imagine that. Yes. Or perhaps I can often have continual interruptions when I can't seem to concentrate on something. So I'm continually interrupting myself, you know, with other things because I don't want to do a piece of work, you know. So that's it. But you could work continuously for 2 hours on a job, on a task. And then before you know it, you look up on your watch and you think, gosh, wow, that's 2 hours has flown. So you've been working continuously, non-stop. Okay, back to the 5th pair of words, which is convince versus persuade. Now, this is more higher level, but how do we use this in English? Because there is a difference. When we convince someone, we're trying to convince them to change their way of thinking. So, you know, I managed to convince him to do something. So you're trying to convince them to change their way. Yeah, so whether you're in a meeting or whether you know, if you're having negotiations with clients or with colleagues and you're working on a project and there is disagreement, then you are trying to convince them to accept your point of view. But what you're asking them to do is to change their way of thinking about a particular project or whatever. So that's what you're doing. But when you're trying to persuade somebody, what you're trying to do is you're trying to motivate them to act, to do something. You're trying to persuade them to do something. You're trying to get them to motivate them. Exactly, yeah. So you're convincing somebody, so you want them to change you want them to change the way they think. But if you're trying to persuade somebody, you're trying to get them to do something. You know, I need to persuade him to take me to, you know, say for example, you need a favor from someone, and they've been resisting. And you really need them to act on this. You really need to. So you need to persuade them to do this. You need to also persuade them that it will be good for them to do it. Maybe you are trying to persuade someone to make certain changes. But it's not for them to, it's not maybe necessarily that you need to convince them. They're convinced by the idea. They like it. But they're not working on it. They haven't done anything about it. So you need to persuade them to act. Yes, persuade, yes, to act. Yeah, can you see that difference? Convincing is changing someone's way of thinking. Persuading them is trying to motivate them to do that. Yeah, so perhaps you could say you need to convince someone first and then you persuade them to do something. Yeah. So that's what you're trying to do. And it's an interesting one because when I was thinking about this and I thought, yeah, that's true. It's true. And it is different in the way we use it in English. So your powers of persuasion. So persuasion is the noun of persuade. When people talk about powers of persuasion, it's how good you are at persuading people to act, to do something. So, you know, when, for example, you go into a job interview and you say, you know, you're very persuasive. Well, you know, she was really persuasive at that meeting. Why? Because she got people to do something. Yeah, so you're very good at motivating people, persuading them to do something that maybe they're resisting. So how persuasive are you? Yeah, so that'd be a good one. Yeah, no worries, Hala, no problem. Great for you to have joined this lesson. I think someone, let me just check. Sumesh, you mentioned empathy. Is there a question you have on that? Because what I might do is add that to a list, and then we can always have another lesson on these differences in these words. So, Maza, the example sentence, I'm trying to convince my football coach to persuade Alex to do more practice. Yeah, so I'm just changing your sentence there. I'm trying to convince my football coach to persuade Alex to do more practice. Yeah, that sounds good, because you're trying to convince your football coach to change his mind. Yeah, yeah, it's a good example, Maza. And to persuade him to do more practice. Exactly. Perfect. Good idea. Yeah, try it out, guys. Try it out how you would use these two words in a sentence. Very good. Excellent. There we go. So that's persuade and convince. Now, number 6, pair of words we are looking at, and this is more to do with spelling than it is to do with the words itself that cause confusion, which is discrete and discrete. They sound the same, homophones. Vaughn, I love that. Alex must be very lazy. Yeah, he must be. Okay, the difference between discrete and discrete. And you're thinking, what, Shanti? What are you saying? You're repeating yourself. These are the famous homophones, words that sound the same but have got different spelling. So let's look at the first one, discrete. Spelled, pen and paper please everyone, D-I-S-C-R-E-E-T. So D-I-S-C-R-E-E-T. The other word is spelled D-I-S-C-R-E-T-E. So D-I-S, I can't spell now, aren't I? Very clever. D-I-S-C-R-E-T-E. So, in the first word, we have D-I-S-C-R-E-E-T. Yes, Pranjal, that's the second word. Discrete, perfect. And the other one is spelled D-I-S-C-R-E-E-T. So what you see here with the difference in the sound is that you've got the spelling is you've got the two E's, the position of the E's. In the first one, the E's are together. In the second one, the E is either side of the T, the T. All right, so we have we have discrete and discrete, so they sound the same. So the first one with a double E-T, what does it mean? When you are discrete, you're a discrete person. It means that you are someone who's diplomatic. You're prudent. Yeah, if I'm sort of saying, you know, listen, you are going to be at an important function, an important event, and you know that you need to be diplomatic, you need to be discreet, you must not say anything that could offend maybe your clients, offend the other side, so your boss or somebody else says, you know, we need to be discreet. Let's not mention the problem that has occurred, you know, or some latest announcement. So we need to be diplomatic. Okay, so yes, I will be discreet. Yes, I'm very good. I can be discreet. I can be very... The other word, which is what Pranjal has just written down for us, D-I-S-C-R-E-T-E, is separate. It means separate. So we have to have discrete means separate and distinct. We have discrete positions, discrete elements. So we often use them we'll see this often in science. You see this also in financial articles where you've got discrete periods. You know, for example, if you're discussing sales growth and you're looking at what the sales growth has been in the different areas, you'll look at discrete periods. So you're taking that separate and distinct point. So maybe you're talking about first quarter, third quarter. So these are discrete periods that show you the difference. But if I'm discreet as a person, I'm diplomatic. Yeah, so very, very different word meaning in terms of the words here. Yeah. Hi, Crystal. Hello from Malaysia. Lovely to see you. Yeah, so discrete, discrete. So the next pair of words is ensure and insure. So ensure is spelled E-N-S-U-R-E, and the other word is spelled with an I. Insure. I-N-S-U-R-E. Now it's interesting because a lot of people will misspell that, and there are different, and they have different meanings. What's the first meaning? Ensure with an E. When you ensure something, exactly, Hala. When you ensure something is that you're going to make something happen. You're going to make it happen. I will ensure that this will happen. I will ensure that we get everything done by the end of the week. So you will make it happen. You'll make it certain. Exactly, Bhakta. And exactly like who's just told me, Deepa, you insure your car. So insure is, of course, the verb to for insurance. So you insure something, you mean you protect yourself from something. Because insuring your car, insuring your life, means you're protecting your life, your car, from damage, from danger, from whatever. Yeah, so very different. So it's to insure is to protect against loss. Ensure is to make something certain. So I'm going to ensure that you get the best service possible. I'm going to ensure that this class, you go away from this class having learned these new confusing words, being more clear there. But I will ensure that we don't suffer any losses. So I need to insure against that. I want to insure my car. I want to insure, so you want to protect that. Do you mean insure means a guarantee? That's a good point that you say. Can we insure? You can insure. I can insure it, and I suppose it all depends on your context. Yes, so it is to make certain. You can't say I'm going to ensure that this is done. Is it a guarantee? Who knows? It all depends whether you can say it. It depends on your context. It depends on also whether you want to guarantee something. I ensure that I will insure my car today. Very good. I ensure that I will. Yes, exactly. Good. Yes, better get your car insurance up to date. Aditi. Hey guys, you're doing really well today. I'm so glad. All right, let's go for the 8th, because I notice here time is flying by. Okay, the 8th, which is interesting because it does cause confusion. The difference between former and latter. Former spelled F-O-R-M-E-R, and latter, so notice latter is spelled L-A-T-T-E-R. You've got to put that double T, because if you drop one T, it becomes later. So make sure that is. Okay, so former, Bhakta, exactly, latter, perfect. Yeah, great, thank you for writing. Former with an E, Hala. So at the end, the last, that's an E, latter, perfect. Yeah, so what's former? So you could have a former boss. It's what happens at the first. It's the first of two things. Or the first of anything, really. So your former boss, your former colleague, your former wife. Exactly, President Barack Obama is a former president. So it's what happened before. It's the first of two. Latter is the second of two. So if you're comparing these two words, okay? So the latter. So imagine you're writing. So you've made a comment about something. You've written something. And you've talked about 2 points. And the next sentence you write, you're referring to the last point you made in your previous sentence. So then you'll say, well, the latter point. Yeah, so you've got 2. You've got the former and the latter. So the former will be the first point, and the latter will be the second point you make. So the latter point. or the latter topic, or the latter paragraph. The previous stage, okay, that's interesting. What happens in previous stage? No, because you're looking at former is when you're looking at the first of two. So previous is what happened before. So, you know, so when we're talking about it, we are talking about points. You're making 2 points. Yeah. So we have the first of anything, the former. Yes. So the former point, whatever. Former can also be used for something before. So we said, you know, the former president, the president that happened before. But when you're comparing former and latter in writing, then the former is the first point you made and the latter is the second point you made. Yeah, maybe I didn't make that very clear. I'm so sorry. I hope I made it. So if you're writing and you're making 2 points, then you want to refer to them. Instead of repeating those points, you then go, if I go back to my former point, which was point 1, so people understand it's point 1, but referring to my latter point, Gabriela, don't forget, you need 2 T's in latter, otherwise it becomes later. Then it has to be my latter point. Yeah, latter versus later. Exactly. That 1 T makes a difference, and also difference in the pronunciation. Latter, later. And they have totally different meanings. Okay? Right, okay, but I'll write a bit more about that so you can see. Yes, you mean you're using these words in a sequence exactly in writing. Former and latter points in writing. As I say, these are confusing words that we use in business writing. Right, okay, now the next one, which is the 9th pair of words, we're looking at less and few, or fewer. Okay, now it's interesting because this is often a mistake that many native speakers make, which is to use, proficient users of English make so many basic mistakes. In fact, I find that a lot of my learners, my higher level learners, are actually better than native speakers. So please do not despair, any of you, if you think that native speakers write good English. Not all of them do. So, you know, but it's good for you to know the difference. Okay, so that's less and fewer, and we will talk a bit more about it. Or if you have any questions, just drop me a line. Last one. Now this is again a bit of a tricky one, similar to what we had with continual and continuous, which is practicable and practical. Yeah, so practicable, practical. Yes, Pablo, I have got a Skype address which I will share later. So practicable, so spelled Practicable. I hope you got your pen and paper. Practicable. Practicable and practical. Brilliant, Hala. Yes, and practical. Yes, Deepa. Exactly, practical. So what's the difference? Because it can confuse a lot of native speakers too. And I sometimes think, oh gosh, it's practicable, or is it practicable? Well, do you think this is going to be practicable? You're talking in a business situation, in a business scenario, someone says, do you think this is going to be practicable? Actually, no. What practicable means is it going to be possible? Is it feasible? Is it possible to happen? Can you have it happening? So if you have practicable, you're looking at something that can happen. Is it possible? So do you think this is practicable? Will it happen? Now, if it's practical, it means common sense, it's commonsensical, it's realistic. So is this practical? Can we get this done? then you're saying, yes, it's practical, it's realistic, I can have it done. Yeah, so that's your difference in how you do it. Practicable, which is possible, it is feasible, it can happen. Practical, that it is realistic. So you know something is you're putting a practical experiment. So it's compared to theory. Yeah, so you're putting it into practice or practical. So that's your 10 confusing words. And you're looking at, sorry, just, sorry, my husband had to just deal with how practicable is that man in the background? Yes, how possible you mean? Yes, impossible actually. No, but yes, so this is the, that's the difference. So let's recap. Let's summarize what we've looked at today. Lots of language here, lots of confusing words, which I hope I've been able to help you understand a bit more clearly. As I said, don't forget, I will have a blog lesson prepared and I will share with you the link. There will also be an audio version of the blog post for you to hear the pronunciation again. So we started with alot versus alot as one word. Adverse versus averse. So you've got adverse, averse, between, among, continual, continuous, convince, persuade, discrete, discreet. So that's a homophone. Ensure, insure. So you insure your car, but you ensure. Former, latter. So when you're writing your sequence, you have a former point and a latter point. Less, fewer. So important, countable, uncountable. Practicable and practical. I have to say, even for me, pronouncing practicable. So it's practicable, practicable. So we have quite a few syllables there. Practicable, 4 syllables. Practicable. So that's the schwa sound going in. So, so there you go. So is it, Deepa, is it practicable to use these words without confusion? Is it possible? Yes, it is. Because the more you practice, the more it will become less confusing, because it is all about practicing. It is also about reading. The more you read in English, the more you get to see. You reading good English, then you'll get to see these words and see them also in the context in which they're using. If you know what they mean, then look out for them when you're reading. And you know, that's how you're going to get better at your spelling, at using and understanding the difference in these words. As I said to you earlier at the beginning of this class is also applicable to proficient users of English and native speakers, because often these are mistakes that are made by native speakers. Thanks a lot. 2 words, Hala, not 1. Okay, so thanks a lot. A lot, 1 word, doesn't exist in English. Just thought I'd tell you that. That's my pleasure, Halak. Lovely to have seen you here in this class. So what I want to also say to stress is that many people worry that, you know, they're going to receive a piece of writing that's perfect from a native speaker. That's not always the case. Often they are using incorrect words, and so if you are more aware of them, then it's also better for you in terms of not just your writing, but also understanding someone else's writing. So there you have it, everyone. Thank you so much once again. I've gone over my time. I always do this, and I'm so glad that many of you turned up. Some of you came along and were able to come in class on time, like Vun. Thank you so much. Some people had a couple of problems with their Wi-Fi, but hopefully that was all correct. Thank you so much, guys. If you like this, you like more of this, then join me at the next lesson next week, which is going to be the Wednesday, the 10th of May. and that's when we'll be talking more, and the subject could be a bit more about misspellings, because I'm going to be writing a series of posts on business writing, looking at these confusing words and how you can unconfuse yourself. Hey, that's not a word, okay? Don't learn from me. And don't forget, sign up if you need some more. If you want more of my weekly lessons, which are delivered to you directly, then come along. Subscribe. As I said, the subscribe button to sign up to get my free e-guide and to sign up to my blog and my weekly lessons, that's in the top right hand corner. If you're staring at your Facebook, then right hand corner, sign up, and you will then automatically go into become one of my members of the EWAT community. Next week, 3 p.m. plus GMT plus 1, which is British summertime here in the UK. Join me for another class, which will be lesson 25 of Wednesdays with English with a Twist, Wednesdays with EWAT. In the meantime, this is me, Shanti Kumaraswamy Street, saying ciao for now, guys. Good communicating in business, English, and good communication for your work. Keep going, keep at it, keep practicing. Ask me any questions you need on shanti@englishwithatwist.com. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. If you have confusing words that you're unsure of, drop me a line and I'll take this up and make another lesson. So take care, guys. In the meantime, have a wonderful week. See you next week. Ciao for now. Ciao.